big entertainment news tonight as Holly Willoughby announced she's quitting this morning after 14 years hosting the show. On Instagram, she posted a thank you to her colleagues, ITV guests on the programme and her loyal supportive viewers. She said she had to make this decision for herself and her family. It follows last week's news that a man has been charged over an alleged plot to kidnap and murder her. Her final episode of the show was last Wednesday and she was reported to be under police protection at her home the following day. It's been a tumultuous few months for This Morning, with Holly's longtime co-host Philip Schofield leaving in May after admitting to lying about an affair with a much younger colleague. So what does the future hold for ITV's This Morning? I mean, what a year for This Morning. It's two main presenters leaving within 6 months of each other. And I think, you know, it really is time for an overhaul in the presenting lineup. I mean, if you want me, guys, that's fine. But I mean, you know, you've got Alison, you've got Ben there now, you've got a bit of anybody and everybody. And maybe that's the way to go, actually. The show shouldn't be built on two main presenters. Maybe it should have this rotation, a bit more of a family style feel to it. Maybe that's what people will want.
ITV have always had this idea that she's some kind of superstar and that she can be the figurehead for This Morning going forward. The point about Holly, I mean, she's quite an engaging character, but she's a sidekick. She's not a superstar. She just isn't. And
why do you think she's a sidekick? Is that
because
not a bit
she is.
gendered
Because
of
she
you?
is. No.
Because Philip was there longer.
She's just as capable.
She could be here if you like, but she's a sidekick. And
the lady doth protest here. I think she's as talented, if not more talented.
That's not the point. She's a sidekick. I'm telling you.
What do you mean by sidekick?
Supporting actors are often very talented.
Look, she came back. Look, can I get to my point?
No.
It's clearly not.
Sidekicks are kicking in the gender wars. It's a gender war now.
Sod the gender war. So she came back after her protracted break, after Phil left, to great fanfare. Oh, it's Holly's, and they got a big musical set together. They all sang ABBA songs, The Dancing Queen. She came back. The viewership went down. The ratings went down. The ratings since she came back have been mediocre to terrible. She is not carrying the show. My bet is she's seen that. She's realising she's going to bomb as the figurehead of this show, and therefore she might as well get out. Also, I think the bosses have come up with a plan where she's not quite the queen bee she'd hoped she'd be. She's getting big money offers from everywhere else, especially the BBC. She's thinking, what the hell, I'm out of here.
I don't think we want to be in the sort of territory where we're saying publicly, well, it's nothing to do with this clearly very serious threat against her, which the police...
That's coincidental.
But that is being so cynical.
I think it must be part of it. I mean, I think obviously the past year, 6 months has been difficult on the show, but I think that probably helped her decision to think, you know what, I'm better off out of this.
Exactly.
Because, you know, the news coming out last week, it's pretty horrible, to say the least.
Yeah.
And that would definitely scare anyone, Holly Willoughby, anybody, me, you. So I'm sure that helped her a lot.
Yeah, but that would be to suggest she never goes back on television again. She'll be back on television.
I think,
she's a tough lady.
I think it does take a serious toll, though, if you're constantly, whether you're a sidekick or whether you're the sort of the leading person, if it's sort of that sort of constant focus on you, even if you're performing at the top of your game, after a while it begins to burn you out. I mean, you use the rotation analogy, a bit like in football. It doesn't matter how good you are, if you keep on playing every week, sooner or later you get an injury, you're not at the same.
Yeah.
It is healthy, I think, to be able to rotate. And let's be honest, it's not like there's going to be a shortage of talent at somewhere like ITV, or at the very least, ambitious people who are prepared to push. You know, let's be clear, that's just the nature of the game. And so if she wants to take a step back for whatever reason, maybe she's getting offers from elsewhere, maybe she's just decided it's time, that's fine. They will find somebody else. They always do. That's just how it works.
Yeah, all the other This Morning presenters will be devastated. Not.
But I think you're right, that there may have been a timing thing where almost, if there's a silver lining that's come out of last week's nastiness, it's that it's given her a chance to slide away gracefully. And I don't think it's because she's a sidekick who's now having to hold the crown on the top of her head. I think that the brand has taken an absolute drubbing in the last year.
True.
How can you have this touchy-feely, cuddly morning show that we're all feeling warm about and drinking our cappuccinos in front of when there's, like, knives in backs from dawn onwards? It doesn't work. So, yeah, it needs to be rethought. And meanwhile, get your bids in for Holly. How's TalkTV looking at the moment?
No, I think
next to Kevin?
the BBC are after. They have been big time. But she just wasn't working. the show wasn't working. You might be right, Tessa. It's due to the Schofield saga. The brand is now toxic. It's tarnished. And frankly, they needed someone to haul it out of the mire. And it turned out it wasn't going to be Holly.